The year is 1817. The air in rural Robertson County, Tennessee, hangs heavy with the sweet scent of honeysuckle and the promise of a bountiful harvest. Life here is simple, arduous, but imbued with a deep sense of community. The Bell family, respected farmers with a thriving homestead, embody the spirit of frontier resilience. John Bell Sr., the patriarch, is a man of substance and piety, known for his stern but fair demeanor. His wife, Lucy, is the gentle matriarch, and their youngest daughter, Betsy, a vivacious teenager, is the apple of their eye. Their story, however, is about to take a dark and inexplicable turn, forever etching their name into the annals of American folklore. What began as a series of minor, unsettling occurrences would escalate into a full-blown reign of terror, perpetrated by an unseen entity that claimed to be a witch. It started subtly, insidiously. One sweltering summer evening, John Bell was inspecting his cornfield. He spotted a peculiar creature in the tall stalks, a beast unlike any he had ever seen. It was dark, somewhat dog-like, but with the head of a rabbit and unnaturally large, glowing eyes. Bell fired his rifle at it, but the creature simply vanished into the twilight. He dismissed it as a trick of the light, a figment of an overtired mind. But the incidents continued. Loud, inexplicable knocking sounds began to emanate from the walls of the Bell farmhouse, particularly at night. They started softly, like a timid tap, but soon grew in intensity, rattling windows and shaking furniture. The Bells, initially attributing it to mice or settling timbers, found no rational explanation. Their slaves, who lived in nearby cabins, reported hearing similar, unnerving sounds. Then came the scratching and gnawing. It sounded as if a ravenous animal was tearing at the bedposts, dragging heavy chains across the floor, and even chewing directly beneath the floorboards. The children, especially Betsy, were terrified. They would wake up screaming, describing visions of unseen hands pulling at their blankets and pinching their skin. John Bell, a pragmatic man, tried to address the disturbances with logical solutions. He searched the house top to bottom for vermin, checked for loose boards, and even staked out the property at night with his rifle. He found nothing. The sounds persisted, seemingly emanating from nowhere and everywhere at once. The entity, which the Bells later dubbed the Witch, began to grow bolder. It started to interact with the family directly. Loud, disembodied whispers would emerge from the air, initially unintelligible, but gradually becoming clearer. These whispers were often mocking, derisive, or simply unsettling, calling out the children's names in a chilling tone. One evening, during supper, a plate suddenly flew off the table, smashing against the wall. A glass of water overturned itself. And then, for the first time, a clear, disembodied voice spoke. It was harsh, guttural, and raspy, yet strangely melodic. It directed its anger primarily towards John Bell Sr., accusing him of deceit and promising him torment. The Bell family, bewildered and terrified, began to seek help. They confided in their neighbors, some of whom dismissed their claims as superstition, while others, more open-minded, offered prayers and comfort. But as the phenomena intensified, it became clear that this was no ordinary haunting. The Bell Witch had arrived, and her intentions were anything but benign. The whisper of unrest was growing louder, threatening to shatter the peace of the Bell homestead and leave an indelible mark of terror on the Tennessee frontier. The initial whispers and knocks at the Bell homestead had escalated into a terrifying symphony of torment. The invisible entity, now commonly referred to as the Witch, was not only audible but beginning to exert a physical presence that defied all logic. Fear, a cold and creeping fog, had settled over the Bell family. The physical attacks intensified, specifically targeting Betsy Bell. She woke up with unexplained red welts and bruises on her body, as if she'd been violently pinched or slapped by unseen hands. Her hair would be pulled, and she'd be yanked from her bed. The family witnessed objects flying across rooms, crockery, books, even small pieces of furniture, as if hurled by an unseen force. Yet, no one was ever seen throwing them. The most disturbing development, however, was the entity's voice. What began as faint whispers evolved into distinct, coherent speech, chillingly clear and often mocking. It spoke in multiple tones, sometimes a raspy old woman's voice, other times a child's, and sometimes a low, guttural growl. It would engage in conversations with the family, answer questions, and even sing hymns, often backward or in a distorted, unsettling way. The entity's primary target, however, remained John Bell Sr. The voice would launch into scathing accusations against him, often referring to a past transgression, a deal or wrongdoing that remained veiled in mystery. It promised him endless torment and vowed to never leave him in peace. It taunted him with the idea of losing his family, and even worse, his soul. Desperate, John Bell confided in his close friend and neighbor, James Johnson, who was a man of integrity and good standing. Johnson, initially skeptical, agreed to spend a night at the Bell house. What he witnessed shattered his disbelief. He, too, heard the knocks, saw objects move, and most terrifyingly, heard the disembodied voice speaking directly to him, revealing intimate details about his own life that only he would know. Johnson left the Bell house a shaken man, convinced of the supernatural nature of the torment. News of the haunting began to spread beyond the immediate community. Curious individuals, eager to witness the phenomena, started arriving at the Bell homestead. Among them were doctors, ministers, and even Andrew Jackson, then a military general and future president of the United States. Jackson, a man known for his unflappable courage and skepticism, arrived with his own retinue, determined to expose the hoax. Legend has it that as Jackson's party approached the Bell property, their carriage mysteriously stopped. No matter how much the horses were spurred, they refused to move. A disembodied voice then boomed from the woods. "All right, General, I'll let you go now. But you'll have to come back alone tonight." Shaken, Jackson's men refused to proceed. Jackson himself, unnerved, stayed only one night at the Bell house, reportedly experiencing strange phenomena that left him convinced. He later famously remarked, "I'd rather fight the British than the Bell Witch." The entity, now firmly established as a powerful and malevolent force, reveled in its growing notoriety. It would sometimes act playfully, engaging in riddles or debates, showcasing an astonishing intellect. But its true nature was always revealed through its relentless persecution of John Bell Sr. and the increasing physical torment of Betsy. The family was exhausted, living in a constant state of terror, unable to escape the relentless presence that clung to them like a parasitic shadow. The malice had taken a terrifyingly clear form, and it was far from finished with the Bells. As the Bell Witch's reign of terror intensified, the focus of the entity's relentless torment remained firmly on John Bell Sr. The disembodied voice, now a constant companion in the Bell household, ceaselessly accused him of a grave, unrevealed transgression. "Justice! Justice!" it would shriek, or "You bought the land with fraud." These accusations, however vague, began to fuel whispers among the curious onlookers and even the family's own neighbors. What hidden sin did John Bell Sr. harbor that would invoke such a malevolent spirit? The Bell family, though terrified, was desperate for an explanation. They pressed John for answers, but he remained stubbornly silent about the specific accusations. He would only grow agitated, dismissing the claims as the ravings of a demon. Yet, his agitation, coupled with the entity's persistence, only deepened the mystery. One particular target of the witch's rage was Kate Batts, an eccentric old woman and a neighbor of the Bells. Batts was known for her sharp tongue, her reclusive nature, and a local reputation for dabbling in folk magic. The Bell Witch often referred to herself as Old Kate Batts's Witch, or the Witch of Kate Batts, hinting at a possible connection. Local folklore suggested that Batts and Bell had had a dispute over a land sale, leading to a bitter quarrel. Was this the root of the haunting? The entity began to reveal unsettlingly specific details about events that occurred away from the Bell property, in the homes of neighbors and friends. It would describe their conversations, their daily activities, even their secret thoughts. This omniscience added another layer of terror, as it implied the witch was not confined to the Bell homestead but could traverse vast distances unseen. A local schoolteacher, Richard Williams, became fascinated by the phenomenon. He began to keep meticulous records of the occurrences, interviewing family members and witnesses. He noted the entity's ability to communicate in various languages, including Latin and Greek, and its uncanny knowledge of biblical scripture. This level of intellect suggested something far beyond a simple poltergeist. As the witch's torment continued, John Bell's health began to visibly decline. He suffered from severe exhaustion, weakness, and an alarming swelling in his throat, making it difficult for him to swallow or speak. The witch would often boast about his deteriorating condition, claiming responsibility for his ailments. "I am killing old Jack Bell," it would shriek with glee. In a desperate attempt to find peace, the Bell family invited several local ministers to hold prayer meetings at the house. The entity, however, remained unfazed. It would often interrupt the prayers with mocking laughter, vulgar comments, or by singing hymns louder and more beautifully than the ministers themselves, only to then distort the melody into something grotesque. It sometimes even recited the minister's own sermons back to them, word for word. One harrowing evening, as the Bell family gathered for a tense dinner, the witch's voice filled the room, cold and clear. "Old Jack Bell, your time is short. The potion of death awaits." The words sent a shiver down their spines. John Bell, already frail, clutched his chest. The family, exhausted and demoralized, understood that the accusations and torment were inextricably linked to a hidden past, a secret held by John Bell Sr. that the malevolent entity was determined to expose and punish. The whispers were no longer just random sounds. They were fragments of a dark history, slowly but relentlessly being unveiled by a vengeful force, setting the stage for a tragic end. The Bell Witch's relentless persecution of John Bell Sr. reached its horrifying climax. His health, already in severe decline due to the entity's constant torment, deteriorated rapidly. The swelling in his throat worsened, making eating and drinking agonizing. He was plagued by seizures and periods of unconsciousness. The witch, far from relenting, intensified its verbal assaults, constantly reminding him of his impending demise and taking full credit for his suffering. "I have given old Jack Bell a sleeping potion," it would cackle, "from which he will never awake." On the morning of December 20th, 1820, John Bell Sr. fell into a deep, unresponsive coma. His family gathered around his bed, heartbroken and terrified. His loyal slave, Ank, ever vigilant, noticed a small, dark vial on the mantelpiece above the fireplace, a place where it certainly hadn't been before. It was an unfamiliar object, almost certainly placed there by the unseen entity. When the vial was examined, a dark, oily liquid sloshed inside. John Bell Jr., overcome with suspicion, decided to test the mysterious substance. He offered a drop of the liquid to a cat. The unfortunate animal immediately began to convulse violently and died within minutes. The horrifying implication was clear. The vial contained a deadly poison, and the bell which had administered it to John Bell Sr. The family, now consumed by grief and righteous fury, accused the witch of murder. The disembodied voice immediately responded, confirming their worst fears. "I gave old Jack Bell a big dose of that medicine. I have finished him off." It shrieked with triumphant glee, its cackling echoing through the house. John Bell Sr. died shortly thereafter, his family devastated and haunted by the knowledge of his supernatural murder. His funeral was a somber affair, attended by many from the community who had witnessed the bizarre and terrifying events of the past 3 years. Even at the graveside, the bell witch was present. As the mourners sang hymns, the entity's voice rose above theirs, singing bawdy songs and mocking the solemn proceedings. When the burial service was over, the witch announced, "I am now going to leave you for a few years. When I return, I shall shake the very foundations of this house." With that, the malevolent presence seemingly vanished, leaving the grieving family in a silence that was almost as unsettling as the torment itself. The immediate terror subsided, but the psychological scars remained deep. The Bell family was shattered. Betsy Bell, in particular, struggled to recover. The constant physical and emotional abuse she had endured had left her frail and withdrawn. Her engagement to Joshua Gardner was eventually broken off, as the witch had relentlessly opposed the union, threatening to follow Betsy and torment her husband if they married. Betsy remained unmarried for many years, the haunting casting a long shadow over her life. The infamous vial of poison remained a tangible, horrifying piece of evidence, a chilling reminder of the entity's deadly power. It was hidden away by the Bell family, too terrifying to discard, yet too dangerous to keep openly. Its existence solidified the belief among many that the Bell witch was not merely a poltergeist but a malevolent, sentient spirit capable of murder. The death of John Bell Sr. marked a turning point. The physical torment of the Bells had ceased, but the legend of the Bell witch had just begun. The story of the poisoned cup, a testament to the entity's ultimate murderous intent, would be passed down through generations, ensuring that the dark tale of the Bell witch would forever be woven into the fabric of Appalachian folklore, promising a return that would shake the very foundations of their lives. True to its chilling promise, the Bell witch returned to the Bell homestead in 1828. 7 years after the death of John Bell Sr., the silence that had settled over the family, a silence almost as heavy as the prior torment, was shattered once more. The return was heralded by familiar, terrifying sounds, the knocking, scratching, and gnawing that had plagued them a decade earlier. This time, however, the entity's primary target was not the deceased John Bell Sr., but his eldest son, John Bell Jr. The witch's voice, raspy and menacing, would repeatedly address him, delivering cryptic warnings and unsettling predictions. It still seemed to hold a grudge related to the family's past, though the accusations were less direct now that John Bell Sr. was gone. The phenomena were just as perplexing as before, perhaps even more so. Objects would fly, furniture would shift, and disembodied voices would fill the rooms. But a new, terrifying element was added to the witch's repertoire: the sound of rattling chains. It sounded as if heavy metal chains were being dragged across the floor, up the stairs, and even across the beds of the family members, a constant, chilling reminder of the entity's oppressive presence. One particular story from this period involves Richard Williams, the skeptical schoolteacher who had meticulously documented the first haunting. Having heard news of the witch's return, he paid a visit to the Bell homestead, determined to observe the phenomena firsthand once more. As he sat with John Bell Jr. in the living room, a heavy chain began to rattle from an upstairs bedroom, slowly descending the stairs, clanking and dragging just out of sight. Williams and Bell Jr. heard it reach the bottom step, then slowly ascend again, the eerie sound growing fainter as it moved back upstairs. The experience left Williams visibly shaken, reinforcing his conviction that the haunting was indeed real. The witch continued its torment for several weeks. Then, as suddenly as it had returned, it vanished again. This pattern of sporadic appearances and disappearances became a hallmark of the Bell Witch legend. It never truly left them. It merely receded, a dormant malevolence waiting for the opportune moment to strike again. While the Bell Witch is primarily associated with the Bell family, similar, though less intense, phenomena were reported in other parts of Robertson County and even beyond, by people who had no direct connection to the Bells. These scattered occurrences suggested that the entity was not strictly bound to the Bell homestead but was a more widespread, perhaps even regional, force. This added another layer of mystery. Was it merely a localized haunting, or was it something larger, something that had been awakened and could now manifest elsewhere? The legend of the Bell Witch, already deeply ingrained in the local consciousness, grew with each subsequent appearance. Stories of the rattling chains, the disembodied voices, and the invisible assault spread far and wide, cementing the Bell Witch's reputation as one of the most terrifying and inexplicable hauntings in American history. The entity had proven its power and its persistence, leaving behind a legacy of fear and a chilling reminder that some promises, even those uttered by an unseen force, are destined to be fulfilled. The silence that followed its second departure was not one of peace, but one of lingering dread, as the Bell family and the surrounding community braced themselves for the next terrifying echo from the Appalachian depths. Even after the Bell Witch's second departure, the legacy of its torment continued to cast a long shadow over the Bell family and the entire Robertson County. The death of John Bell Sr. remained a central, undeniable tragedy, and the identity of the Bell Witch itself became a subject of endless speculation. Who was this malevolent entity, and why did it choose to inflict such suffering upon this specific family? One prominent theory, fueled by the witch's own accusations, pointed to Kate Batts, the eccentric old woman and neighbor. Kate Batts died several years after the initial haunting, but her reputation as a practitioner of folk magic and her alleged dispute with John Bell Sr. over land continued to link her to the entity. Some believe that the witch was literally Kate Batts's spirit, or perhaps a spirit sent by her through a curse. However, there's no definitive historical evidence to prove this connection, leaving it as a compelling, yet ultimately unverified, possibility. Another theory, less discussed but equally chilling, suggested that the witch was not a human spirit at all, but an ancient, elemental entity native to the land itself. The indigenous peoples of the region, the Cherokee and the Chickasaw, had rich spiritual traditions that often spoke of powerful spirits dwelling in the land, capable of both benevolence and malevolence. Was the Bell Witch a manifestation of such a spirit, angered by the encroachment of settlers on sacred ground? The greatest enduring mystery surrounding the haunting, however, revolves around the burial site of John Bell Sr. Local lore claims that after the witch's departure following Bell's death, the family secretly moved his grave, hoping to escape any lingering influence or further desecration. This secrecy led to a long-standing tradition in the Bell family of passing down the true location of John Bell Sr.'s unmarked grave, a secret kept only by a few trusted individuals. The reason for this secret burial is open to interpretation. Perhaps the family genuinely feared the witch's return and its ability to disturb the grave. Or perhaps, fueled by the entity's accusations, they believed there was indeed a hidden transgression connected to John Bell Sr.'s past, and that by concealing his final resting place, they could prevent further revelations or future torment. This secrecy has only deepened the enigma, adding a layer of hidden truth to an already baffling tale. There are also scattered reports of strange phenomena continuing near the purported Bell burial site even decades after the main haunting. Visitors have reported cold spots, unexplained noises, and feelings of unease in the area. These anecdotal accounts, though unverified, further contribute to the enduring aura of mystery surrounding the Bell Witch. The Bell Witch haunting stands as a unique phenomenon in the history of paranormal activity. Unlike many poltergeist cases, it was not merely a series of random disturbances but a highly intelligent, articulate, and malevolent entity with a clear, murderous agenda. Its ability to communicate, to reveal secrets, and to exact revenge sets it apart from typical hauntings. Even today, the true identity and nature of the Bell Witch remain elusive. Was it the vengeful spirit of Kate Batts? An ancient land spirit? Or something else entirely, an entity beyond human comprehension? The enigma of the Bell Witch's true nature, coupled with the hidden secret of John Bell Sr.'s burial, ensures that this terrifying tale continues to captivate and terrify, serving as a chilling reminder that some secrets, once disturbed, refuse to remain buried. The Bell family's past, present, and future were irrevocably intertwined with the unseen force that plagued them, and the search for answers continues to this day. The enduring question surrounding the Bell Witch haunting is not just, what was it? But why the bells? The entity's singular focus on John Bell Sr. and his family, its seemingly personal vendetta, points to a deeper, more intricate motive than a mere random haunting. Was there an unseen architect behind this misery, a living person who, through intent or ignorance, conjured this malevolent force? While the direct connection to Kate Batts remains the most popular theory, her supposed dispute with John Bell Sr. over land and her local reputation for folk magic forming the basis, the specifics of how she might have sent or cursed the Bells are lost to history, or perhaps deliberately obscured. Folk magic in that era was often a clandestine practice, whispered about but rarely openly admitted. If Kate Batts was indeed the architect, her methods would likely have involved rituals, curses, or pacts, the details of which would never be recorded. However, the nature of the entity itself often raises questions beyond a simple human curse. The Bell Witch exhibited powers far beyond what is typically attributed to a human spirit or a common poltergeist. Its ability to know distant conversations, to speak multiple languages, to sing hymns backward, and to physically harm its victims suggests a being of significant power and perhaps a non-human origin. This leads to speculation that perhaps Kate Batts, or someone like her, merely opened a door, a portal to something far older and more formidable than they understood. Could the witch have been a demonic entity, summoned by a human, or perhaps drawn to a specific area of weakness or sin? The entity's taunts about John Bell Sr.'s deal, or fraud, always hinted at a transgression that was never fully revealed. If Bell had indeed engaged in some dark practice or made a pact that he reneged on, it could have provided the opening for such a powerful entity to latch onto him and his family. The language used by the witch, often referring to its master or master's will, further fuels this demonic interpretation, suggesting it served a higher unseen power. The constant accusations against John Bell Sr. also prompt a re-examination of his character. While portrayed as a respected patriarch, the witch's relentless targeting and the family's reluctance to delve into the specifics of his alleged transgression could imply a hidden dark side. Perhaps Bell himself was involved in something that attracted the entity, or he possessed something that it desired. Furthermore, the Bell family was deeply religious. The witch's open mockery of prayers and hymns, its ability to sing biblical passages, could be seen as an attempt to undermine their faith, a common tactic attributed to demonic forces. This religious angle adds another layer of complexity to the unseen architect theory. Was it a human agent, acting out of malice, or a supernatural entity, exploiting human weaknesses and vulnerabilities? The lack of definitive evidence about the witch's origin means the unseen architect remains shrouded in mystery. Whether it was a human curse caster, a demonic entity, or something else entirely, the entity's malevolent intelligence and its clear, persistent agenda against the Bell family suggest a deeper purpose than random paranormal activity. the horrifying legacy of the bell which continues to raise questions about the unseen forces that might exist in the world, waiting for an opportunity to reveal themselves, often through the weaknesses or sins of those who unwittingly invite them in. The Bell family's agony might have been the unfortunate consequence of someone's darker intentions, an echo of a pact or a curse from a hidden past that refused to stay buried. While the Bell witch haunting is famously centered on the Bell family farm, accounts from the period suggest that its influence, or at least similar phenomena, occasionally extended beyond the immediate homestead. These echoes, in the broader Robertson County region, add another layer of intrigue to the already baffling legend. Were these isolated incidents mere coincidences, mass hysteria, or did they indicate a more widespread, perhaps territorial, presence of the entity? Reports from neighbors and travelers often describe unexplained noises heard in the vicinity of the Bell farm, even when not directly on the property. These ranged from faint whispers and distant knocking to strange animalistic sounds that seemed to emanate from the surrounding woods. Local hunters and farmers, accustomed to the sounds of the wilderness, often remarked on the unnatural quality of these disturbances. One notable account involves a family living several miles from the Bells. They reported seeing unexplained lights flitting through the woods at night, resembling small, dancing flames. While some attributed these to swamp gas or fireflies, the frequency and unusual movement of the lights led many to believe they were connected to the witch, perhaps representing its ability to travel or to project its presence beyond the Bell property. There were also rare instances of minor poltergeist activity reported in neighboring homes. Objects would occasionally shift, or faint, disembodied voices would be heard. These were often dismissed as mundane occurrences, but in the shadow of the Bell witch legend, they took on a more sinister connotation. It raised the terrifying possibility that the entity wasn't just confined to the Bell farm, but could, if it chose, extend its reach and torment others. These scattered phenomena contributed to the widespread fear and awe that the Bell witch commanded in the region. People became more cautious about venturing into the woods alone at night, and superstitions about protecting their homes from unseen forces gained renewed importance. The Bell witch became a topic of hushed conversations around campfires and in general stores, a cautionary tale that served as a chilling reminder of the unknown dangers lurking in the Appalachian wilderness. The geographical reach of the Bell witch's alleged influence also raises questions about its nature. If it was truly the spirit of a human, such as Kate Batts, its ability to manifest in multiple locations at once would be extraordinary. This further supports theories of a more powerful, perhaps demonic or elemental entity, one not bound by the physical limitations of a human spirit. Such an entity could project its influence, create minor disturbances, or even travel freely within a defined territory. These echoes beyond the farmhouse serve as a chilling reminder that the Bell witch was not merely a localized phenomenon. It was a force that permeated the very fabric of the region, capable of inspiring widespread dread and manifesting its power in subtle, unsettling ways. While the Bell family bore the brunt of its malice, the fear it instilled resonated throughout Robertson County, solidifying its place as a pervasive and terrifying presence in the collective consciousness of the American frontier. The whispers of the Bell witch carried on the wind, far beyond the confines of the Bell homestead, warning all who listened that its reach was vast and its malevolence knew no bounds. Decades after its terrifying reign, the Bell witch haunting continues to hold a powerful grip on the American imagination. Its legacy is not merely that of a historical oddity, but a chilling narrative that has been passed down through generations, spawning countless books, articles, and even films. But what explains this enduring fascination with a 2-century-old haunting? Firstly, the Bell witch is unique in its documented malevolence. Unlike many poltergeist cases that involve mere disturbances, this entity actively communicated, tormented, and ultimately murdered its victim. Its intelligence, its ability to converse, sing, and reveal secrets, sets it apart from typical paranormal phenomena. This undeniable sentience makes the entity far more terrifying and compelling. Secondly, the credibility of the witnesses adds significant weight to the legend. The Bell family were respected members of the community, not prone to exaggeration or flights of fancy. The involvement of figures like Andrew Jackson, a man of strong character and renowned skepticism, who reportedly left the farm convinced, lends an undeniable historical legitimacy to the claims. When a future president admits to being unnerved by a supernatural force, people listen. The unresolved mystery surrounding the witch's true identity and motives also fuels its enduring power. Was it Kate Batts? A demon? An ancient spirit? The lack of a definitive answer allows for endless speculation and interpretation, keeping the narrative alive and fresh for each new generation. This ambiguity allows the legend to adapt, making it more terrifying precisely because it remains undefined. Furthermore, the Bell Witch story is deeply embedded in American folklore and regional identity. For the people of Robertson County, it's not just a ghost story. It's a part of their history, a dark stain on their landscape. The local caves, landmarks, and even the very air of the region are imbued with the legend, making it a tangible part of their heritage. This local pride in the story, however terrifying, ensures its continued retelling. The haunting also serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the unseen forces that may exist beyond human comprehension. It taps into primal fears of the unknown, of malevolence that cannot be fought with conventional weapons, and of the idea that one's past sins or conflicts can indeed come back to haunt them. This allegorical power makes the story resonate on a deeper, more psychological level. Even today, the alleged Bell Witch Cave and the surrounding areas attract curious visitors, paranormal investigators, and thrill seekers. The desire to experience a fragment of the terror that plagued the Bell family, to feel the lingering presence of the entity, draws people from all over. The very act of visiting these sites reinforces the legend, turning it into a living, breathing narrative that continues to evolve. The story of the Bell Witch is a testament to the enduring power of terror. It is a chilling reminder that some events transcend rational explanation, leaving behind a legacy of fear that resonates through time. The Bell family's agony, the entity's malevolent intelligence, and the unresolved questions surrounding its origin ensure that the Bell Witch will forever remain a chilling chapter in American paranormal history, an enduring whisper of terror that echoes from the Appalachian past into our present day. Its legacy is a chilling testament to the fact that some stories, born from fear and darkness, refuse to die, continuing to haunt the collective imagination for centuries to come. The Bell Witch legend, though firmly rooted in the 19th century, continues to resonate with chilling clarity in the present day. For nearly 2 centuries, its terrifying narrative has permeated popular culture, inspiring books, documentaries, films, and even local tourism. But beyond the commercialization, the question remains: does the Bell Witch still haunt? The historical accounts describe the entity's promise to return and its sporadic reappearances after John Bell Sr.'s death. While there haven't been widely publicized, sustained hauntings of the Bell family descendants in recent decades, reports of strange phenomena in the Robertson County area persist. These are often anecdotal, difficult to verify, but they keep the legend alive in the local consciousness. The most prominent location associated with current alleged activity is the Bell Witch Cave. This cave, located near the original Bell homestead, has become a popular tourist attraction. Visitors often report experiencing cold spots, disembodied voices, strange lights, and feelings of unease within the cave. Some claim to have seen apparitions or felt physical contact. Whether these are genuine paranormal manifestations, psychological responses to the chilling atmosphere, or simply clever marketing, they certainly contribute to the ongoing belief that the witch's presence lingers. Paranormal investigators frequently visit the area, bringing their equipment and methodologies to try and capture evidence of the entity. While their findings often remain inconclusive, the very act of their investigations keeps the legend in the public eye and reinforces the idea that there is still something to be found, something unexplained at work in the Tennessee wilderness. Beyond the specific geographical locations, the psychological impact of the Bell Witch legend continues to be felt. It serves as a potent reminder of the unknown, of malevolent forces that can exist beyond human understanding. In an increasingly secular world, the Bell Witch offers a glimpse into a time when the veil between the physical and spiritual realms seemed thinner, and the supernatural was a very real, terrifying possibility. The story's endurance also speaks to our innate human fascination with fear. We are drawn to tales that challenge our perceptions of reality, that make us question what lies beyond the ordinary. The Bell Witch, with its intelligent communication, its murderous intent, and its historical documentation, fulfills this craving for the genuinely terrifying. Ultimately, the unending echo of the bell Witch is a testament to the power of a story well told. Or perhaps, a haunting truly lived. Whether it continues to manifest as a disembodied voice in the old fields, a cold presence in a cave, or simply as a chilling narrative passed down through generations, the Bell Witch has earned its place as one of America's most iconic and enduring paranormal legends. It stands as a chilling reminder that some promises, uttered by an unseen malevolence, are destined to be fulfilled, and some tales of terror will continue to haunt us, long after the last whisper has faded. The legacy of the Bell Witch is not just history. It is a living, breathing part of the American consciousness, an unending echo from a past that refuses to stay buried.